This video was made possible thanks to the support of our amazing patrons. We couldn't do this without you.
Don't forget that you can support the channel for free and receive 10% off orders over $10 of Flipside Gaming by using the promo code Affinity at the checkout. Or if TCG Player and Magic Madhouse are more your thing, then be sure to place your order through our affiliate links in the description. Once again, at no extra cost to yourselves.
Hello everybody and welcome to another EDH gameplay video brought to you by Affinity for Commander. My name is Martin.
And my name is Alex.
Today we are once again joined by Benny, the guy who literally wrote the book on Commander, and Jeffrey, the creator of the amazing moving card images over at Living Cards MTG. Be sure to check out both these guys' social media accounts, links to which will be in the description. Also, don't forget to take a look at our previous game, a link to which should be appearing in the top right corner of your screen. But with that out of the way, let's take a look at those opening hands.
I am playing my Trynn, Champion of Freedom and Silvar, Devourer of the Free Human Tribal deck. I keep an opening hand containing Skull Clamp, Orzhov's Signet, Etchings of the Chosen, Verge Rangers, Inspiring Vantage, Godless Shrine and a Swamp.
I am playing my Brudiclad Telcore Engineer token deck. I keep an opening hand consisting of Swiftfoot Boots, Saheeli Sublime Artificer, Hedron Archive, Shrewd Negotiation, Spire Bluff Canal, Mage Ring Network and an Island.
Jeffrey is playing his The Dragon Tribal deck. His opening hand is made up of Farseek, Fist of Suns, Monastery Siege, Ojutai, Soul of Winter, Okagichi, Vengeful Kami, Path of Ancestry and a Plains.
And finally Benny is playing his Kathril Aspect Warper Keywords Matter deck. His opening hand contains the Ozolith, Phyrexian Reclamation, Command Tower, Blighted Woodland, Marsh Flats, Bajuka Bog and a Forest.
Jeffrey wins the die roll and starts the game off by playing a Plains. He then casts a turn 1 Soul Ring, marking him as the target for everyone else's wrath, and passes to Martin.
I play Spire Bluff Canal and pass the turn.
I play Inspiring Vantage and cast Skull Clamp before ending my turn.
Benny plays Marsh Flats, immediately paying 1 life and sacrificing a land to search his library for an Endartha Triome, putting it into play tapped. With nothing more to do, Benny passes to Jeffrey.
Jeffrey starts his turn by playing Path of Ancestry, and then casts Fists of Suns. Out of mana, Jeffrey passes the turn.
I play an island and cast Swiftfoot Boots before ending my turn.
I play a Swamp and cast Orzhov's Signet, and then pass to Benny.
Benny plays Command Tower and casts Phyrexian Reclamation. With nothing more to do, he passes the turn.
Jeffrey casts Cultivate, searching his library for an island and a mountain. He puts the mountain into play tapped and the island into his hand, and ends his turn.
I play Mage Ring Network and cast Saheeli Sublime Artificer. Happy with my turn, I pass to Alex.
I cast Verge Rangers and take a cheeky peek at the top card of my library. I then reveal that card to be Exotic Orchard, playing the land with my Ranger's ability, and then equip my Skull Clamp to the Ranger. Out of plays, I pass the turn.
Benny plays Blighted Woodland and casts Farseek. He searches his library for Sheltered Thicket, putting it into play tapped, and ends his turn.
Jeffrey plays an island and casts Farseek of his own. He puts a Swamp into play this way, and passes to Martin.
I play Command Tower and cast Hedron Archive. Saheeli's ability triggers, making me a 1/1 servo token, and I activate Saheeli's -2 ability. I get my Saheeli's mixed up, creating a copy of my archives instead of transforming another artifact into it, and then sacrifice a copy to draw 2 cards. Whoops, my bad. Out of mana, I then pass the turn.
I begin my turn by casting Painful Truths, losing 3 life and drawing 3 cards. I then play Plains and cast Arcane Signet before moving to combat. Here I attack Jeffrey with my Rangers, dealing him 4 damage, and end my turn.
Benny plays Verdant Catacombs and then casts Questing Beast. Next he moves to combat, dealing me 4 damage of his Hasty Beast and shooting Saheeli for 4 with his Beast's ability. Saheeli's loyalty hits 0 and Benny passes to Jeffrey.
Jeffrey starts his turn by using his Fist of Suns to cast his commander, the Dragon. Now that is a scary play. Satisfied with his play, Jeffrey passes the turn.
I play Foundry of the Consoles and then cast Saheeli Rai. Can't get rid of her that easily. Next I equip my shoes to my servo's tiny feet and activate my Planeswalker's +1 ability. I scry 1, leaving the top card of my library where it is, and Saheeli deals each of my opponents 1 damage. With nothing more to do, I end my turn.
I play a Plains and cast one of my commanders, Trynn, Champion of Freedom. Not yet finished, I cast General Kudra of Draneth, keeping in line with the Ikoria theme, and exile the land in Benny's graveyard with his ETB. I then move to combat and Martin asks if I would be so kind as to attack Jeffrey if his commander were no longer there. I accept this offer and Martin casts Pongify, destroying the Ur-Dragon and replacing him with a 3/3 ape. Oh, how the mighty fall. As promised, I attack Jeffrey with my Rangers and he blocks with his ape. Moving to my end step, I create a 1/1 human soldier creature token with Trynn's ability, triggering General Kudra's ability. I exile the Pongify from Martin's graveyard and pass to Benny, who responds by paying a life and sacrificing his Verdant Catacombs. He puts Overgrown Tomb into play tapped, and then proceeds to his turn.
Benny plays a forest and moves to combat, once again attacking me of his questing beast. Unable to block, I take 4 damage and Saheeli's loyalty is reduced to 0 with the beast's ability. Deja vu. With nothing more to do, Benny passes the turn.
Jeffrey uses his Fist of Suns to cast Deathbringer Regent, destroying all other creatures on the battlefield. I draw 2 cards when Verge Rangers dies thanks to Skullclamp, and Jeffrey ends his turn.
I play an island and cast Release the Gremlins, where X is 3. I destroy Jeffrey's Fist of Suns and Soul Ring, as well as Alex's Skullclamp, and create 3 2/2 Gremlin tokens. Is it just me or do these things remind anyone of Sphinx Cats? Just me? Ah well. Next I use my remaining mana to equip my Swiftfoot boots to a lucky gremlin and move to combat. I attack Jeffrey with the Furless Cat Impersonator, dealing him 3 damage, and pass to Alex.
I begin my turn by casting Knight of the White Orchid, and Benny responds by sacrificing his Blighted Woodland to put a forest and a swamp into play tapped. My Knight's ability then resolves and I search my library for Sacred Foundry, paying 2 life to have it enter untapped. Not yet finished, I cast Species Specialist, naming Human with his ability, and pass the turn.
Benny plays Windswept Heath and casts the Ozolith. Next he casts his commander, Kathril Aspect Warper, who enters with Vigilance, Death Touch and 2 +1/+1 counters thanks to the questing beast in his graveyard. Unable to attack right away, Benny ends his turn.
Jeffrey plays Slayer's Stronghold and casts Ojutai, Soul of Winter. Moving to combat, Jeffrey attacks me with Deathbringer Regent and Benny responds by polymorphing into a cat. Let's all just take a moment to appreciate what a pretty kitty he makes. Ah, such a fluffy little fellow, isn't he? Psst, 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 psst. Anyway, back to the game at hand. Jeffrey taps down Benny's commander with Ojutai's ability and I take 5 damage from the unblocked Regent. With no further plays and no further cats, Jeffrey passes to Martin.
I play Swiftfall to Cliffs, gaining a life and then move to combat. I attack Benny with all 3 of my gremlins, dealing him 6 damage and move to my second main phase. Here I cast Chasm Skulker, which doesn't hang around for long as I then cast Crush of Tentacles for its surge cost. Benny responds by paying a life and sacrificing his Windswept Heath to put a Plains into play, and everyone returns all of their non-land permanents to their hands. I then create an 8/8 Octopus and pass the turn.
I replay Knight of the White Orchid using his ability to put a Plains into play from my library, play Command Tower, recast Auto Signet, recast Arcane Signet, and cast Commander Sphere. Out of Mana Rocks to cast, I end my turn.
Benny plays Phyrexian Tower, recasts the Ozolith, recasts his commander, and recasts Phyrexian Reclamation. With nothing more to do, Benny passes to Jeffrey.
Jeffrey plays Myriad Landscape, recasts Ojutai Soul of Winter, and passes the turn.
I begin my turn by casting my commander, Brudiclad Telcor Engineer, and then move to combat. I create a 2/1 Mia token with Brudiclad's ability and transform it into an 8/8 Octopus with haste. I attack Jeffrey with both of my cephalopods and he blocks one of the tentacled terrors with his dragon. Jeffrey then takes 8 damage and I end my turn.
I start my turn by casting Citywide Bust, and Benny responds by sacrificing Kathril to Phyrexian Tower. He moves the counters on his commander over to his Ozolith, pays 2 life, and uses the mana produced by the tower to activate Phyrexian Reclamation. Benny returns the Nightmare Insect to his hand, and Citywide Bust resolves, destroying all of Martin's creatures. Not yet finished, I cast Frontline Medic and recast Species Specialist, once again naming Human. Moving to combat, I attack Martin with Knight of the White Orchid, dealing him 2 damage, and move to my post-combat main phase. Here I play Godless Shrine, having it enter tapped, and pass to Benny.
Benny plays Strip Mine and recasts his commander, who continues to enter with Vigilance and Death Touch and 2 +1/+1 counters. Moving to combat, Benny moves the counters on his Ozolith over to Kathril and then passes the turn.
Jeffrey casts Boneyard Scourge and sacrifices his Myriad Landscape. He searches library for 2 forest, puts them into play tapped, and ends his turn.
In my turn, I recast Swiftfoot Boots and then cast Shrewd Negotiation. I target my boots and Benny's commander, and Benny responds by sacrificing Kathril to Phyrexian Tower. He moves his counters on Kathril over to the Ozolith and pays 2 life to return the Creepy Croys to his hand of Phyrexian Reclamation. That is such a nifty interaction. Shrewd Negotiation then fizzles, and I pass to Alex.
I begin my turn by casting Etchings of the Chosen, naming Human for its ability, and then move to combat. I attack Martin with all of my creatures, dealing him 10 damage, and move my post-combat main phase. Here I recast Trynn and create a 1/1 human soldier in my end step thanks to her triggered ability. With nothing more to do, I pass the turn.
Benny casts Wrath of God, to which Alex quickly responds to by casting Boros Charm, making his creatures indestructible until the end of turn. Boneyard Scourge is then destroyed, and Benny casts his commander once more. Benny then passes to Jeffrey.
Jeffrey recasts Deathbringer Regent, and I respond by sacrificing a token to Etchings of the Chosen to make my commander indestructible. Benny then sacrifices Kathril to his tower, pays 2 life and puts it back into his hand, and the rest of my creatures are destroyed. I draw 4 cards with Species Specialist's ability, and Jeffrey passes the turn.
I play an island, recast Hedron Archive, and end my turn.
I play Hanweir Battlements and then cast Soul Ring. Move to combat, I attack Martin with my commander, dealing him 4 damage, and move to my second main phase. Here I cast Audric Master Tactician, followed by Sanctuary Lockdown. I then move to my end step, creating a 1/1 human soldier, and pass to Benny.
Benny plays a forest and recasts his commander for what feels like the billionth time. I respond by casting a cheeky Spell Swindle, countering the Nightmare Insect and creating 5 treasure tokens. Benny lets his commander go to the graveyard and pays 2 life to activate Phyrexian Reclamation. He puts the questing beast in his graveyard into his hand, casts it, and then moves to combat. Here he moves all of his counters from his artifact over to his beast, giving it an additional 6 power, and attacks Jeffrey with the Swole creature. Jeffrey takes 10 damage from the attack, and Benny passes the turn.
Jeffrey plays Nomad Outpost and then casts Atarka World Render. He then asks me if I can give Atarka haste on my battlements, and in return he will knock Benny out of the game. Liking the sounds of this, I use my land to give the scary dragon haste, and Jeffrey moves to combat. As promised, he attacks Benny with both of his creatures, dealing him exactly lethal damage, and then ends his turn.
I begin my turn by recasting Brudiclad and equip my Speedy Shoes to the Engineer. Moving to combat, I create a 2/1 Mir token and then transform my 5 treasure tokens into Mirs as well. I attack Jeffrey with my commander and 4 Mirs, dealing him 12 damage. I then pass to Alex, who responds by tapping his 2 untapped humans to tap one of my Mirs with Sanctuary Lockdown. How sneaky of him. Out of tricks, Alex proceeds to his turn.
I play Slayer's Stronghold and cast my second commander, Silvar, Devourer of the Free. Next I activate my Stronghold, giving my kitty +2/+0 Vigilance and Haste, and move to combat. I attack Jeffrey with Silvar and Martin with my remaining creatures, using Odric's ability to have Martin make no blocks. Jeffrey takes 6 damage, knocking him out of the game, and Martin takes 13. Determined to win this turn, I move to my second main phase, where I cast Outpost Siege, naming Dragons. I then move to my end step, creating a human soldier with Trynn's ability, and sacrifice all of my humans to Silvar's ability. This results in Outpost Siege triggering 4 times, dealing 4 damage to Martin, and winning me the game.
Well, that's it for another game. We hope that you enjoyed it as much as we did. We'd like to give a huge thank you to Jeffrey and Benny for taking the time to play with us, and hope that we can arrange some more games in the future. Don't forget that you can help the channel for free in 4 quick and easy ways. Hit that subscribe button, the like button, the bell icon, and leave us a message. I read every one. And if you want to support the channel further, then feel free to check out our Patreon page, where you can get exclusive rewards such as branded playmats and tokens. That's all for now though, we'll see you next time.